You're listening to the Chronicles of Living podcast, where we talk to everyday people about everyday things in the past, present, and future. Now let's talk.
Greetings, 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 my visionary dreamers. How is everybody doing on Monday? I know I just talked to y'all yesterday. I don't know why I came up with these 3 days in the beginning, this commitment, but for some reason it was put on my heart. Sunday, Monday, and Wednesday. So I guess those are the days, we need some uplifting. I don't know. You tell me. But for those who are just tuning in, this is adionne-your-dream-pusher, your lifeguard, saving you from the world, saving you from yourself. Get out your own way. And this is Chronicles of Living. And today was a very trying day for me because I kind of fell behind schedule. So I was rushing all the way up to the last minute. And I'm looking at the clock and I see 6:30, and I'm trying to hurry up and scratch some notes down or whatever because I didn't get a chance to really do my notes. But I saw 6:31. I was like, oh my gosh, wait a minute. This is not the 7 o'clock day. This is a 6:30 day. So sorry for that 1 minute. I have been really trying to be on point with this show, just as any other radio station, TV show, because that is my goal. I want to be that go-to show that you listen to just to get some encouragement, some motivation, just like you tune into any other show, your morning show on the radio or whatever, or your TV talk show, your favorite TV talk show. I want to be your favorite podcast show. That is my goal, and that is what I am working towards to do, to win the hearts of the world. And in doing that, I thought of this topic today. Run your own race and stay in your lane. I'm sorry, y'all. My stomach is growling. I just got finished scoffing down a bean burger because y'all know I'm on my vegetarian, but it was good. But yeah, I came up with this topic today because for those who know, I used to be in the music business years. I mean, when I say years, I'm talking about I was in my 20s. I can remember recording this song with a couple other guys. It was kind of like that collabo song, and it was called "You're in the Wrong Lane." And I just, for some reason, it just popped in my head this morning, the whole instrumental of it. And I can't remember all the verses, but I could, somewhat the chorus was just popping in my head today. And it was just I just laughed to myself like, wow, that was over 20 years ago. I so wish that I can find the recording from that. But I remember the producer had wound up getting killed. So that's no hope in that, sadly to say. But anyway, run your race, run your own race and stay in your lane. And that can go so many ways when I say that. But what I want to try to focus on today is the fact that, a lot of us, sometimes we can look at other people's lives, especially with social media out now, and just think these people have these perfect lives because of the pictures they post, the things they say. And sometimes it's a lie, sometimes it's real. Either way it goes, we should never fantasize to have someone else's life. A lot of times, young people, they grow up and they like, oh, I want to be Beyonce. I want to be, all the hottest celebrities that's out right now. But they don't understand what it took to become that person. That whole struggle, transformation before they became that celebrity. You got some people wanting to be the Kardashians. Okay, let me say it right. Y'all know I don't follow them. Sorry. There's no shade for those who love the Kardashians. But anyway, it takes a lot to be in that world. I know from experience, and it can be a pretty tough business. A lot of parts can be good and some can be real shady, and you definitely have to have tough skin to be in a business like that. But I'm not just talking about the entertainment business. I'm talking about, the corporate world too. The corporate world can be a little vicious as well, because I had a chance to experience that and ran into some shady folk doing that. And yeah, they might have had the big houses and the nice cars and all of that, but some of the things that they were doing to get it wasn't good. It wasn't, some people just don't walk in their integrity. So it's just like now I'm doing this podcast show and I'm working on my blog, and some people might want a podcast show, they might want a blog or a website for their business, but I'm here to tell you that this is work. This is work. I come on 3 times a week. I have to come up with some valuable content to keep the listeners coming back. And when you're doing something like this, that is what you have to do. Not only do you have to come up with the content, it just got to be consistent. You can't be all over the place. Although if you listen to some of my older shows, I might have been all over the place. But you have to learn, and you have to be ready to, for any type of rejection. You have to be ready for people that want to just say foul things, or you have to be ready for that. That's not what I'm expecting. Of course, when you set out to do a thing, you're expecting that it's all good and it's all flowers and roses and everything is lovely. But then you get that one hater, and that one hater can just test you to the point that either you're going to stick in or you're going to, you're going to roll. And I see so many people want things and their skin is not tough enough. They're not willing to be transparent. Like I knew coming and doing this podcast, I wanted to do something different. A lot of the podcast shows out here, they basically interview other people all the time, for their podcast show. That's what they do. They just interview people, whether it be top earners or celebrities, or they'll talk about TV shows or something like that. And that's why I decided that, what, us regular folk, we need a show too. We need some talking to too. We need some motivation, some encouragement. We need some stories to share and things like that. And so I knew that, okay, I'm staying my lane. This is my lane. I know that I had a lot of stuff throughout my lifetime. So before I started the show, I had to sit and think, like, what's the lane I want to stay in, And even though I plan on incorporating a couple other things down the road, it's still going to be within my lane. It's still going to be something that I've experienced in my life. I'm not going to sit up here and try to be a comedian on this podcast, because I'm not a comedian. I mean, people say I'm funny, I make them laugh, but I'm just saying, like, I can't sit up here and just write jokes. When I make you laugh, that's just a natural thing. But I'm not Steve Harvey or, what's the girl? Oh, I miss her too. Anyway, her name just left me. But I'm not that person. So I'm staying in my lane. And I knew going into this that it was going to take some work and some commitment. So it's like a lot of people, they see things and they're like, I want to do that. But you got to really ask yourself, are you willing? Are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to, like right now, on my days off, this is what I'm focused on. I'm focused on the podcast. I'm focused on the blog. And, I wanted the blog to be up sooner, but I get so into it and I'm like, oh, this idea comes, that idea comes. So I'm sacrificing time. I'm sacrificing my me time in order to build this blog. Like, is that something that you're willing to do? A lot of people are not willing to sacrifice that time, and they cheat themselves and they cheat the project. because they think they can just give it a little bit of time and that's just that. Or they think that, like, I knew, like, the whole transparency thing is just opening up a lot of stuff where people can, if they wanted to take a stab at some things or whatever like that, or the fact that, you know, I might talk about the situations I went through with people, but that's why I don't say names. They could feel some type of way when they listen to it, but it's on them, because this is my thing. There's always 3 sides to the story, I've learned. You know, is their side, my side, and the side that's, you know, that's neutral, whatever. I mean, everybody feels a type of way about whatever they're going through in life, and you can't change somebody's opinion on how they feel about a certain experience that they went through in life. Everybody thinks they're right. Their opinion is right. I am a neutral person. I will listen to a person, and if they come to me and be like, well, this is this and this is that, and I can say, you know what, you was right, you know, my bad, or whatever like that. I am an open person like that. But nevertheless, there are people that would never own up to some of the things that they have done in life. I'm owning up to my mistakes on this podcast show. So my thing is, if you decide, okay, I want to do a podcast show, you don't want to do something that I'm doing, because this is my lane. This is what I know. Although this is the reason why I held the podcast away from one of my Facebook pages, one of my main Facebook pages with my family and friends, because of the fact that I've had ideas stolen from me before. I've had people that, you know what I mean, that I thought was cool with me just come in and just all of a sudden they want to do the same thing that I already started or that I told them about. So that's why I decided this go around, like, I'm going to be quiet about this. And then after I establish it, then I'll just start sharing it, you know. And in this way, at least I set my tone, I set my lane, I set my show, and I know the direction that I'm going in. I'm branding myself. So if somebody else comes along and decide they want to try to do it in the same way, then it's like, okay, at least I established myself. You know, you got so many people out here, so many inventors that so many of us don't even know about. You never even heard their name, because somebody else that was in position, that was in power, had more money, made the patent off of their idea, and all of a sudden they're the ones that invented it. You know, Nikola Tesla, this man, he was, oh my God, a genius. He is the one that invented so many things, and so many people, Thomas Edison, a lot of people stole from him, but those are the people that's in the history books. You know? And if you don't do no deep research, you really don't know who truly invented something or who came up with a certain idea, because certain people might be in a better position than that person that created the idea, and that person that created the idea want to share, or they might be sharing because they think you their friend or whatever like that. And the next thing you turn around, it's like, whoa, wait a minute, they're doing the same thing that I just said that I was going to do. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you a person, like I got a couple of friends, I got, you know, family members that want to do a podcast show, that's fine. You know, if you're a person but you got something different going on, you know what I mean? Something totally different going on, then that's all good. But what I'm saying is, there are so many people out there that don't know their true talent. They don't know, you know, the gifts that God, their purpose, their true purpose in life. And therefore, they'll snag somebody else's when, you know, they need to find out what it is that they were put here to do. Because really, they're doing themselves a disservice by running in somebody else's lane instead of staying in their own lane. You see somebody, you know, a top salesperson doing multimedia marketing, and you're like, oh, I want to do that. I'm going to make that type of money. Don't go and build your network the same way. Find a different way. Find a different way. That's the way they built theirs. You know, learn from them and then find your own lane. Because a lot of times you'll try to run in somebody else's lane and you wondering why stuff ain't working out the way you thought it would. That's because you're running in somebody else's lane instead of creating your own. All of us were made uniquely, and we all have a different purpose in life. We all have different assignments in life. And so you got to really think about it. You got to really think about your purpose and your assignment. You got to think about, what are you natural at doing? What is it that people call you for? And start jotting it down on paper, and then start jotting down the things that you know you could keep up with. Because this is a very demanding thing to do. I'm trying to tell you, if you listen to some of my past podcasts, you'll see that sometimes I was pulling over at the gas station and all kinds of stuff just to make sure that I went on at the right time in the midst of, driving long distance and all of that. But I made it happen. This is my 37th episode, and I only miss one day, one time out of all the, since I've been doing this podcast show. And I missed that Wednesday because I had to go get my son, and it was just a lot going on, and it totally slipped my mind. Like, I really thought about it after the fact. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is Wednesday. I missed the show. I was devastated. I really was. I was like, oh my goodness, I felt so bad. And if you could get to that point that you're doing a certain thing and you got something else going on, and something happens where you miss it and you feel horrible about it, then that's your lane. That's what you should be doing. Because I felt horrible. Not just the fact that I missed it, but, just the commitment. Because if you follow from the beginning, this show is for everyday people doing everyday things, living everyday life. And in the beginning, when I was doing the 30-day challenge on Facebook, I was telling people, like, the thing is this: everything is not going to be perfect. You're going to have hiccups. When you're starting a new thing, you're going to have hiccups. So I kept the hiccups in, and I just to let people know that life is not perfect. The things that you start out and doing, you have to grow. You have to grow as you go. And if I listen to my old podcast, I'm sure I can hear some growth as I do the new shows from each week. And I try to think about I try my best not to stay on the same topic, but there are going to be times when I might bring up some of the same things because of the fact that it might have to do with the same topic. And that's because of the fact that this is for visionary dreamers, and this is for everyday people doing everyday things. So therefore, I'm talking about things that go on in life that everybody can relate to. So sometimes I might be a little redundant with certain things, but the bottom line is this: you want to brand yourself. You want to think before you jump into any type of situation, anything. You don't want people pulling you into something like far as doing any type of projects or sales or marketing or whatever. There's a lot of stuff out there, and there's a lot of people that's doing their thing, but you got to make sure that it's for you, that it's the right fit for you. Because if you do not, and you think that you can do things the way somebody else is doing it, you're not only going to disappoint yourself, you're going to disappoint them too. And so instead of doing that, keep it all the way real with yourself. And in that way, if you come at a person and you say, well, look, I don't know if this is my lane or whatever like that, they might not like it then, but they can respect you later for it. Don't just jump in and do a certain thing because you're seeing dollar signs. I try to tell people that all the time. Do not look at the dollar signs. You got to analyze stuff and really, really think about it. This is a commitment. Me starting this whole situation. That's why in the past I stopped so many times, because I let life get in the way. so many times I let life get in the way. And I believe back then that was all tests. It was a test to see just how faithful and how passionate I was about a thing. But I know now that I wasn't ready. Because for one, back then when I was starting my internet radio show and all of that, I really wasn't ready to be transparent, for one. And that right there is big. Just being able to be transparent with people so people can know, okay, you have issues too that you're working on in life, and people can relate to you better. You know, so many celebrities, you think they had the perfect life. Some of them would never tell you the truth about their lives. Never. They probably go to their grave with some of the things that they've been through and some of the things that they got to do to be in that position. You know, there are people in the corporate world that you see wind up going to jail because they stole money just to get to where they are and stuff like that. So you definitely have to stop looking at everybody else. Stop wanting the lifestyle that everybody else is living, and decide what you truly want for yourself. What is it that you truly want for your life? It might not, when you really, really think about it, it might not even be a bunch of money. It might just be, okay, you want to do a thing and it just makes you happy. You're a painter and you just want to put your art on a website so everybody can see it, and you are a photographer. You just want to take pictures and you want to share them on Flickr and see how many people download them and like them. And, you know, that might be your thing. That might be what it is. You might not want to commit to an ongoing thing. That's what you got to decide. Is this a hobby, or is this it? For me, this is not a hobby. This is it. This is something that I've been wanting to do for years, but it took me time to grow within myself so that I could learn how to commit to myself, how to commit to you guys, and how to handle talking and being transparent, and make sure I put my thick skin suit on, so in case somebody try to say whatever, you know. I really don't care about what people think about me. I had a conversation with one of my cousins, and I had to let her know that, you know, she wants to start a venture, and I had to let her know, like, she's not a social media person, and neither was I, you know, and I'm still really not. But in order to do certain things when you're branching out, you have to know that this is a new day and age, and it's not the same anymore. Once you get on and you want to do a certain business, especially if it's involving people and building people, and you're going to have to let go. You're going to have to learn to sacrifice. You're going to have to learn to be transparent. You're going to have to learn that, okay, now your time is not just your time. It's your project's time. It's your fan base time. It's your followers' time. It's, you know, you're going to have to learn how to balance all of that stuff. And you got to be ready. You know, it's so many people in the past, so many websites I built for people. And some of them I charged, and some of them I just did, you know, just because, you know, they're my loved ones or whatever. And I just wanted to see them make it. The last website I made for somebody, this was somebody that it was a total stranger. When I say total stranger, I didn't know this guy at all. But I had been following his YouTube channel. I had been learning some stuff from him. And I saw that he didn't have a website, and YouTube was, deleting some of his videos because he was speaking a lot of truth. And God had put on my heart to make him a website. And I'm like, what? Anybody that know me, I will do something like that, and just out the blue. I try my best to listen to my intuition, no matter how crazy it might sound to me. Well, long story short, I did. I took what he had on YouTube. I took his little about information, and I just went ahead and I paid for the domain. I paid for, the little server. It wasn't, because I know what I'm doing, it wasn't as costly as it would be for somebody else, because I was doing majority of the work. But I put together a little quick site for him, and I emailed him, and I was like, hey, here you go. This is yours. This is something that God put on my heart to do. And yeah. And so he was like, what? Why? What? How? What? It was so funny. And, we got in touch with each other, and I kind of gave him the basics on how to, maintain it or whatever. And it was crazy because within, I'm going to say 3 days, he had 2,000 subscribers to his blog. This is how much everybody was following him. And the site crashed because I just did the bare minimum platform for him. So I had to, what I thought I was just doing just on some GP. This is just before I put my blog together. I wound up having to move him to a private domain, a private server, which took 2 weeks for me to rebuild. Now, mind you, I'm just doing this on GP, just on some good looking out or whatever. But I really was doing it because, like I said, I got some good information from him, and I really liked what he was saying and what he stood for. And he was so real. He was just a real person, and he had the little trolls on his YouTube that was just hating or whatever. But he seemed like a good-hearted dude. And so I say all that to say, the site is down. I still got love for him, but he didn't maintain it. Even though I put it together for him, he didn't maintain it. And so obviously that wasn't his lane. Although it was doing good, he was being consistent on it and all like that. He just, once I had to upgrade it, it was, more to keep up with or whatever. But obviously that wasn't his lane, and I wanted it to be his lane because of the people that he was helping and the information he was helping to give them and stuff like that. So now I decided that I'm just going to make up a course, and that's just going to test everybody that want websites. And in that way, I'm not feeling like, okay, I wasted time. Because I really think that when you want to do a certain thing and when it's given to you, you don't value it. You don't value it as much because you didn't put in the work. You didn't put in the time. In some cases, you didn't put in the money. So therefore, you're not going to value it. You're not going to sacrifice for it. You're not going to keep up with it. You're just not. You know what I'm saying? But if somebody guides you through it, of course, you don't know a thing. If you got somebody to guide you through it and you're working on it day to day, and that person decides, like me, I'm deciding, like, I'm not going to waste any energy on anybody else, no matter how much I love them, unless they want it more than I want it. It's so many times because I'm a dream pusher, so many times that I want something for somebody else more than they want it for themselves. Like they say they want it, but they don't really want to work for it. And this is what I'm saying about run your own race and stay in your lane, because you could really want this thing, but if you don't want to work for it, then that means you really don't want it. You really don't want it. So you gotta be ready. You gotta be ready to put your all in, just like you do if you got a 9 to 5. Just like you go punch that clock, you gotta figure out that time. You gotta balance it all out. Don't look behind you. Don't look at everybody else. And I think Oprah Winfrey said that one time. She was like, what keeps her going and what kept her show so fresh is because she didn't pay attention to everybody else's. She was worrying about running her own race, and look where it got her. Like now with this podcast show. Only time I went on to really pay attention to anybody else's is when I was doing my research. I needed to see, okay, how should I do this intro? Oh, my stomach. How should I do this intro? How is this whole thing formatted? What is it? I needed to see the top podcasters, listen to their show a little bit, see what they're talking about, see what's catching people's interest. That's another thing. When you're doing a thing, you got to do your research. I do my research madly. madly. I go in deep on the research whenever I start a project or do a thing, because I want to put out something that can compete with what's out there. And I'm not saying compete as and really competing, but just a friendly type of competing where it could withstand what other shows are going out or out there. So, that's the only time. But now, since I've started and I kind of got my little flow, I don't really pay attention to nobody else's. I mean, it might be like YouTube channels that I might watch or whatever, that I might get different type of information from, but not really like the way I'm doing the show. So that's what I want to say. This podcast don't have to be all that long and drawn out, but I just want you to know, you got to be prepared. You got to be prepared that you're going to have to do some sacrificing, whatever you're going for, whatever invention, whatever dream you have, whatever thing you want to do. You have to do your research. You have to be ready to work. You got somebody to help you out, then respect that. Respect their time. Respect the fact that they're giving it to you to help you out. Don't just think just because they know how to do a certain thing that, oh, it's easy. No. I remember one of my friends, I don't really talk to her that much no more, but I can remember how, I built her websites, and that's all she used to say. Well, and I think I told y'all my nickname was Living. People call me Live or Living. It's like, Live, well, you know how to do it. It's going to be easy. It's going to be faster. No, but still, this is my time. It's my time out of my life. Like, just because it's easier, like, you need to learn this stuff. I wanted to teach her, and she wasn't willing to learn. She wanted me to do all the work. She tell me it's boring. What is boring? Well, this is your business. I'm not gaining nothing from this. I'm just trying to help you out. You know what I mean? So I ain't make a dime from it. Still to this day, never wanted to make a dime from it. I just was supporting her because I was her friend. You know what I mean? But sometimes when you do that, people take that for granted, and they just think that, oh, that's just something you're supposed to do. No. When you want a certain thing, you better figure out your lane. You better stay in it. You better not try to go do just because somebody else got all of this fluff or whatever on their website. That fluff take time to put together. That's why it's taking time for me to bring back up my blog, because I'm taking my time, and there's certain things that I wanted on this blog, which I know I'm going to have to just probably bring up. I'm just going to probably put it back up and just add as I go, because that's me trying to get back into that perfectionist mode. I gotta keep it going. I told y'all this is one of the things that I'm doing. I'm trying to learn to do, not to be this whole perfectionist and just let things ride the way they need to ride and just grow as I go. So yeah, that's all I really wanted to come on here and say today. Today is Get It Started Mondays, if I didn't say it earlier, and I just wanted to give y'all something to get your week started with. Whatever you are aiming to do, make sure it's for you. That's what I'm saying. Make sure it's for you. Make sure you're willing to sacrifice. Make sure you know how you want to balance out your time. Make sure you write stuff out. I write everything out. Everything. This podcast is in books that I had from years ago. The whole everyday people doing everyday things. I wrote that down. I think in a book that I have that's from 07 and 05. It's just that I write stuff down and I sit on it until I feel my spirit is time. People think that I just bust out with stuff. No, I don't. Everything that I do is planned out. Everything. From my moves to the jobs that I go get. Everything. I have a reason behind everything. Although I look scattered to everybody else, trust me, I got my own plan for my life. And that's what you need to do. You got to be prepared. You got to be ready. It takes work to get to a certain level of people that, you're looking at and you're admiring, and understand that. We all can do it. Everybody can put in the work. You just got to set your mind and say, no matter what, I'm going to do this. If this is what it takes to get it, then this is what it takes. This is what I got to do. So I'm just going to leave y'all with that. Be ready. Be ready for whatever comes your way. Always have a thick skin. Always know who you are. That's the most important thing. You got to value yourself. You got to know your self-worth before you step into anything that is going to expose you to people, to a lot of people. Know your value, know your worth, and walk in that. And don't let nobody steer you from that. Don't let nobody speak any words in your ear and make you believe different. Everybody, you're enough. You are enough. You are a beautiful person, I'm sure, inside and out. And if you're not on the outside, I'm sure it's somewhere in there in the inside, and you just might need to work on it. But, hey, you're the bomb. And you got to keep telling yourself that. So I'm going to leave y'all with that. And I will talk to y'all on Wednesday. Remember, the show comes on Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Monday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And you don't have to just listen to it on Spreaker. You can listen to it on iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher. I'm trying to think of all of them. What is it? Podcaster, Player FM. Yeah, on the blog, I'm going to have all that stuff on there. But just Google Chronicles of Living podcast shows. Some of the times you could get to it that way. But I love you guys. I appreciate you all. And, stay in your own lane. Run your own race. Don't worry about nobody else. Do not worry about anybody else. Whatever God put on your heart to do, whatever gifts, whatever talents, whatever people keep coming at you to do for them, that is your purpose. And so embrace it. Embrace who you are, embrace your value, embrace your worth, and don't let nobody steer you any other way. I love you guys. Peace.
Thank you for listening to Chronicles of Living, where we talk to everyday people about everyday things in the past, present, and future. And if you are pursuing your dreams, I'm proud of you. Because the best part of life is when you decide to live. To keep up with us, please visit chronicles-of-livin-podcast. Until next time, this is Adionne, your dream pusher. I love you guys.